Jeff, tell us about the Kansas City case that was filed in February.
Absolutely. And really, it's exciting. There's actually two Kansas City cases. The first case, as you said, was filed in February, our Valentine's Day case, is about marriage recognition. In other words, we know there are many couples in the state of Missouri who have gone to other states that have already recognized marriage equality. They come back to Missouri, and as they cross the state border, it's as if their marriages disappear. We think that's wrong. More importantly, last year, the United States Supreme Court, as you know, in the Windsor case that the ACLU and others brought, said that it is unconstitutional for the federal government not to recognize those lawful marriages. What we hope is the Missouri Supreme Court will do the same thing that the United States Supreme Court said and recognize if you go to Illinois and get married, if you go to New York and get married, when you come back to Missouri, the Missouri ban on recognizing that marriage is unconstitutional, and you have the right to be married in all 50 states of the United States and to have your marriage recognized in all 50 states of the United States.
In the second case?
The second case is more of a legal maneuvering case, a placeholder so that we can be assured that lesbian, gay couples and families have all the legal protections they need. So the first case is about ensuring that folks who get married elsewhere can have their marriages recognized. The second case is brought on behalf of lesbian, gay couples here in Missouri who went to the county recorder and said, I would like to get a marriage license. The recorder said, no, we can't give those to you. We are forbidden by the Missouri Constitution from doing so. The ACLU has now sued on their behalf and said, this is unconstitutional. Under the line of cases that is coming after the Windsor decision, it is unconstitutional to deny couples the right to get a marriage license here in Missouri. So in other words, the next step is to get full marriage recognition. Not only can you go out of state, get married, come back to Missouri and have your marriage recognized, but for those people who have families in St. Louis, Kansas City, all over Missouri who want to be married here in Missouri, they'll have the right to do that. Now, that case was filed a little later. It's a little different than what the U.S. Supreme Court has already decided. So it's in line behind the marriage recognition case.
And teed up right behind that then would also be the St. Louis case, where at the end of June this year, Mayor Francis Slay actually instructed the Recorder of Deeds, Sharon Carpenter, to issue 4 marriage licenses. There were 4 couples that were married in the chamber of the mayor's office, and effectively they are willfully saying that the ban on marriage is discriminatory, and it cannot be upheld under the U.S. Constitution, even though it's enshrined in the Missouri Constitution. That case is currently moving forward as well, but it would likely be behind these other 2 cases as far as how things proceed. And then out there in the ethos, there would also be the 4th case, which actually predates all of these cases by a little bit, but it's a little bit more unique. It's not directly taking on marriage, but at the beginning of the year, Governor Nixon issued an executive order stating that couples should be able to file their taxes jointly in the state. And his rationale for that is that within the state, we are required to follow U.S. regulations around the IRS filings for tax filings. And effectively, our opponents filed a case stating that this violates the Missouri Constitutional Amendment, and that is currently moving through the court system as well. We anticipate that likely it will be upheld. The couple should be able to file because we're following current statute and guidelines required by the federal government. We anticipate arguments in that coming up early fall.
Right. And what's exciting about that case is, as you said, the marriage equality opponents filed the case, and we think that they're wrong. Defending that case is the Attorney General on behalf of the state of Missouri. What the ACLU did is, working with Promo, we found a couple who is currently married in another state and wants to take advantage of the fact that they are federally married and therefore need to file their income tax as federally married, and then also want to be able to take advantage of the state ruling and file the same income tax return here in the state, and we intervene on their behalf. In other words, intervening means when we go to court and say, listen, there's the opponents of marriage equality, and there's the governor and the attorney general. We think there's another party who needs to be heard, and that's the actual lesbian and gay couples whose voices need to be present at the table. We're very pleased that the court said to the ACLU, yes, you're right. These couples bring a unique perspective, so we are now a part of that case as well. And we are making sure that every need of lesbian gay couples to have their marriage recognized and to be able to justify one tax return at the federal and state level be recognized, and that they won't have the extra hassle and burden that we know gay and lesbian couples already have, but that burden will be lessened as much as possible.
Jeff, what do you think will happen? The oral arguments in the first Kansas City case are coming up at the end of September.
Correct.
What could potentially happen after that?
So what's exciting is on September 25, the ACLU will be in court with our couples, our plaintiffs in Kansas City. And at that point, we will have the chance to make our full arguments before the court and explain why the decision of the United States Supreme Court in the Windsor case that said it is unconstitutional to deny equal protection of the laws to lesbian gay families applies to our couples here in Missouri as well. We're hopeful and optimistic that the trial judge in Kansas City will shortly thereafter give us a good ruling. The reason we're hopeful, every federal judge who's looked at this has said we need to let lesbian and gay families have marriage equality. The appellate courts who've looked at those trial court decisions in the federal courts have affirmed those decisions and said, yes, we agree, you're right. Lesbian and gay families deserve marriage equality and it has to happen. So we hope and expect that's what the trial court will do in Kansas City. Now, once that decision comes down, if it's in favor of the couples or it's against the couples, whichever side is on the losing side has the right to go to the Missouri Supreme Court and say, Missouri Supreme Court, we want you to look at this decision and see if what the trial court judge said is correct. So if and when the trial court judge in Kansas City said, yes, if you are married elsewhere, Missouri must recognize your marriage. Now, what many or most courts have been doing is they've been putting what's called a stay, and that's a legal term that says, we've ruled in your favor, we say you've won, but because we know there's another level of courts that can review the decision, we're not going to put this into effect. Now, it's very complicated legally because there's lots of different ways that marriages can be recognized. So what it would mean is if there were a stay while that happened, people shouldn't go rush out and book marriage halls and hire the band and invite their family. It will depend. But obviously, I think Promo and the ACLU have been working together to keep the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community fully informed of what we're doing, and we will do that as soon as we get a decision in the case in Kansas City.
There are a number of different ways in which the cases could come down, and we could also see other federal movement as well around marriage cases. So what we're doing is making sure that people can stay informed by visiting showmemarriage.com. And that's a website put together by both Promo, the ACLU of Missouri, Freedom to Marry, and Progress Missouri as a way to keep the general public educated about what's going on around marriage as a one-stop shop to be able to get your information about marriages in Missouri. Although I would put one caveat that certainly you still want to seek the advice of your own attorney or other professionals if you are choosing to step into the marriage realm.
Thank you for that caveat. That's what we lawyers like people to know.
Perfect.
So, AJ, on behalf of the ACLU and just personally, I want to say one of the most exciting things about working here in Missouri with the ACLU has been the strong partnership between Promo and the ACLU. I think it's been incredibly exciting how much has happened on marriage equality right here in Missouri. I think you and I, when we first talked, we didn't know if people would have expected Missouri to come this far this fast, but I'm excited at how many couples have come forward to share their stories, how many couples have come forward to be plaintiffs and stand up in court. And I know that people can go to the Promo website, people can go to the ACLU website, Show Me Marriage, and we need more people to share their stories. We've got people from Kansas City, from St. Louis, from Jefferson City, from all over. But I think the more people see that the couples down the street and across the hall and their families and their cousins and their colleagues want marriage equality, the more we'll get all those people who maybe are still on the fence and don't know. But I'm excited, and I want everybody there with us in Kansas City on September 25.
I think that it's also interesting that even as recent as a year ago, I was very certain that Missouri would not see marriage until it came down through the federal system. But with the Windsor decision, while it was a bit disappointing that it didn't go far enough to say we need marriage throughout the United States, it gave an opportunity for public education about what elements of marriage are incredibly important. So whether it's how pension benefits are governed, Social Security benefits, veteran benefits, all these different elements that we're now seeing provided at some level with marriage rights, regardless of where you live. And then many other things, similar, mostly property rights, are not necessarily covered here within the state. We're seeing all these things move forward at a very rapid pace, and it's allowed for so much better public education around why marriage matters and what it matters specifically to individuals right here in Missouri. I'm confident with all of this movement that we are going to see marriage equality. And you can keep up to date by visiting Show Me Marriage on Facebook, hashtag Show Me Marriage through Twitter, the ACLU of Missouri website, promoonline.org, or also the showmemarriage.com.
Thanks, AJ.
Thank you.